Welcome, everybody, to our deep dive. Today,
Mhm.
we're exploring the concept of home, and we're doing something a little different.
Oh,
We're going to be diving deep into a unique set of questions and answers,
okay.
getting a peek into how one person defines home.
I like it. Kind of a personal journey then.
Exactly. We'll uncover how they balance city life with peace and quiet.
That is a challenge sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
And we'll discover their favorite room, which is apparently bathed in sunlight.
Sounds lovely already.
Plus, we'll even find out what they would change about their living space.
Oh, I'm always curious about that.
Me too. So let's dive right in. This person describes their neighborhood as, like, quiet and charming,
Mm-hmm.
kind of an oasis just outside the bustling city center.
The best of both worlds.
Right. They get the peace and greenery.
But still close to all the excitement and opportunities of city life.
Exactly. And, this ties in perfectly with a trend we're seeing,
Oh, tell me.
especially after the pandemic. It seems a lot of people are craving that connection to nature.
Absolutely. That sense of tranquility is so important.
But they don't want to give up the convenience and vibrancy of a city.
It's like they're seeking a balance, you
No, a
know.
delicate balance, yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of balance, our source lives in a flat
Okay.
on the fourth floor of a modern building.
So no sprawling backyard, I'm guessing?
Nope, not this time.
Yeah.
But they do mention their balcony view as a key feature.
Ah, the balcony. I'm always fascinated by how people use their balconies.
Me too. And it makes me think about how even small glimpses of nature,
Yeah,
like a few trees or a bit of greenery,
right.
can have a big impact on our well-being.
You know, there's research to back that up.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Studies have shown that even a simple view of nature from a window
Interesting.
can have a restorative effect on us mentally, like a mini dose of nature therapy right in the middle of the city.
I love that. Okay, so we know a bit about the neighborhood and the building, but what about the people?
Ah, the heart of the home.
Right. Well, our source shares their home with their partner.
Okay.
And, get this, a dog.
Ah, a dog. That changes the whole dynamic.
Right. It does. It's like instant warmth and energy added to the picture.
I agree. It's interesting how the definition of family has evolved.
It really has.
This picture, a couple and their furry friend,
Yeah.
it really shows how homes adapt to different dynamics.
They mention that everyone has their own space in the flat,
That's important.
but they also come together for meals and just to hang out.
Sounds like a good mix of independence and togetherness.
Exactly. So let's walk through the layout. They've got a cozy living room, 2 bedrooms,
Okay.
a compact kitchen, and 2 bathrooms.
That sounds well organized.
It does. And it seems like they've made the most of their space.
Each room serving a specific purpose.
Right, but without feeling cramped or cluttered.
I'm sensing a minimalist vibe here.
Maybe, although they haven't specifically mentioned it. What do you think about minimalism?
Well, I think it's become a bit of a buzzword, but at its core,
Yeah,
it's about being intentional with your space and belongings.
not just about getting rid of stuff.
Right. It's about choosing what you bring into your home,
Yeah.
making sure that every item, every piece of furniture serves a purpose and has a place.
It's funny, because I've tried decluttering,
Oh, yeah.
and it really can be surprisingly freeing.
Absolutely. It's like decluttering your space.
It clears your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this person, do they ever talk about wanting anything more in their home?
You know what they do? They admit to wishing they had more storage space.
That's so relatable.
Isn't it? It seems like no matter how much space we have,
There's never enough storage.
never enough.
Do you ever think this desire for more storage stems from, like, our consumerist culture?
Oh, 100%.
Right.
We're constantly bombarded with messages to buy more, upgrade, keep up with trends.
And then we end up with all this stuff and nowhere to put it.
It's a vicious cycle. So despite loving their flat, our source is thinking about moving in a few years.
Okay, where to?
They're hoping to find a bigger space eventually, with a garden.
A garden. There's that connection to nature again.
It keeps coming up, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does. I think it speaks to a deep-seated human need
Yeah.
to be close to nature, to have that sense of grounding.
Makes you wonder how we can bring more of that into our homes, even in small spaces.
For sure. Now, you mentioned earlier their neighborhood seemed to have it all.
Oh, yeah. It's like amenity central.
Tell me more.
Supermarkets, a gym, a park, even a cozy little cafe.
Sounds lovely.
And get this, everything is easily accessible by public transport or on foot,
That walkability is a huge plus.
isn't it? So good for the environment.
And for our health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Plus, there's something just so appealing about being able to walk to your favorite spots.
Totally. That ease of getting around, it really adds to the quality of life.
And speaking of quality of life, Our source describes their neighborhood as peaceful and friendly.
Ah, I love that.
Right. They mention tree-lined streets, well-maintained parks.
It sounds idyllic.
That does. They even talk about neighbors greeting each other, kids playing outside.
You know, that sense of community.
Yeah,
It's becoming increasingly rare, but so incredibly important.
especially with all the talk about social isolation these days.
It's true. Knowing your neighbors, feeling a sense of belonging.
It can make a huge difference in how we experience our surroundings.
I think so too. And it's fascinating how the physical environment can influence those social interactions.
It makes you think about how we design our neighborhoods, doesn't it?
For sure. I mean, are we creating spaces that encourage connection?
Or are we unintentionally isolating ourselves?
Those are big questions. So before we move on, I'm curious,
Yeah.
what's the housing situation like in this person's country?
Well, they mentioned there's a good mix.
Okay.
Flats, detached houses, semi-detached houses.
Makes sense. Catering to different needs.
Exactly. And they pointed out that the choice often comes down to lifestyle,
Yeah.
family size, and of course, finances.
It's always a combination of factors.
Always. It makes you wonder about the global housing landscape, though, doesn't it?
It does. The challenges of affordability, sustainability, it's a big topic.
Huge. But for now, let's bring it back to our source. They mentioned a particular spot in their flat being their favorite.
I bet I can guess which one it is.
Oh, really? Go for it.
Is it the living room with all that natural light they were talking about?
You nailed it. That's their sanctuary, their spot for unwinding, reading, or watching TV.
And the natural light plays a big role.
Huge. And you know what? It makes me think about how important natural light is for our well-being.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about making a space look pretty.
Right. It's deeper than that.
Way deeper. We actually have these internal clocks called circadian rhythms.
I've heard of those.
And they regulate so many things: sleep-wake cycles, hormones, even mood.
Yeah.
And natural light is one of the key factors in keeping those rhythms in sync.
So when we get enough daylight,
Our bodies function better.
we feel more alert, we sleep better.
Exactly. And when we disrupt those rhythms by spending too much time under artificial light.
Like staring at our phones at night.
Exactly. It can throw our bodies out of whack.
Wow, I never thought about it that way.
It's like our modern lifestyles are constantly battling against our natural rhythms.
So what can we do about it?
Well, being mindful of our light exposure is a good start.
Okay.
Making sure we get enough daylight during the day.
And minimizing artificial light at night.
Right. Even small changes can make a difference.
Good to know. Now, I'm curious to hear how our source has decorated their living room, especially with all that natural light.
Me too. Did they mention anything specific?
Oh, yeah. Picture this. A gallery wall filled with a mix of framed artwork, family photos, and even travel souvenirs.
Sounds eclectic.
It is. It's like a visual representation of their life, their passions, their experiences.
I love that. You know, it reminds me of how our homes can become extensions of ourselves.
In what way?
Well, the choices we make in decorating, the colors we choose,
The objects we display,
everything reflects our personalities,
our values.
our memories.
It's like telling a story without words.
Exactly. It's fascinating. And what about the other rooms? Any hints about their style?
Well, they described their bedroom as having calming blue walls
Okay.
and minimalist art, which creates a sense of tranquility.
So different from the living room.
Totally. It's like they've intentionally created different zones.
For different purposes.
Yeah, like the living room is for energy and connection.
And the bedroom is for peace and rest.
Exactly. Makes you realize the power of design, doesn't it?
It does. The power to create spaces that support our different needs.
And reflect our multifaceted selves.
I love that idea. Me too.
Yeah.
It's like our homes can be these little microcosms of who we are and what we value.
And who we aspire to be.
Exactly.
You know, it's fascinating how this deep dive started with just one person's experience of home.
Yeah.
And it's led us to these broader conversations about design, psychology, and our connection to nature.
It's true. We started small, focusing on the details of this person's flat.
Right.
And now we're talking about these big ideas that affect all of us.
Exactly. And speaking of design, I keep thinking about how our source mentioned wanting more storage.
Oh, yeah, they did. Makes you wonder, right, how much our possessions
Yeah.
impact our sense of well-being. I mean, we've all felt that weight of clutter at some point, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. It's a constant struggle for me.
And me too.
Yeah.
But I have to say, when I finally do declutter a space,
Yeah.
it's like this huge mental shift.
Uh,
My mind feels so much clearer.
it's almost like cleaning up your physical space.
Creates space in your mind too.
Exactly. And you know what? There's actual research that shows Clutter can really increase stress levels.
No surprise there.
It can even make it harder to focus and contribute to anxiety.
Makes sense. It's like our brains are trying to process all that visual noise.
And it gets overwhelmed. Maybe that's why decluttering methods like Marie Kondo's became so popular.
Oh yeah, the KonMari method.
It's all about keeping things that spark joy.
And getting rid of the rest. But you know what? It's not just about getting rid of things.
What else is it about?
It's also about being mindful of what we bring into our homes in the first place.
Oh, that's a good point. Like, really considering each purchase.
Yeah. Asking yourself, do I really need this? Will this add value to my life?
Instead of just buying on impulse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
And for anyone listening.
Yeah.
What one thing would you change about your home
Mm.
to make it feel even more like a sanctuary? What would make you feel happier or more at peace?
Wow, that's a good one. Let me think. For me, I think it would be creating a dedicated space for like meditation or yoga.
Oh, I love that. A quiet corner.
Yeah, a quiet corner where I could unplug and recharge,
Maybe with some soft lighting.
and some plants.
Perfect. For me, I think I'd finally tackled that one room that's become a bit of a dumping ground.
Oh, we all have that room.
It's become this source of stress.
Totally.
And I know that once it's organized, I'll feel so much better.
It's like a weight lifted, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it brings up another interesting point, how our homes can impact our physical health too.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, it's not just about clutter. It's everything from the ventilation and lighting to the materials used in construction.
Wow.
These things can affect our respiratory health, our sleep quality, even our overall well-being.
It makes sense. I mean, we spend so much time in our homes.
We do. It's where we eat, sleep, relax, recharge.
It's almost like our homes are these dynamic environments.
That's a great way to put it. They're not just static structures. They're constantly interacting with us.
And we're interacting with them. Earlier when we were talking about the different types of housing.
Oh, right. The flats, detached houses.
Yeah. It made me wonder how different cultures around the world approach the whole concept of home.
Oh, that's a fascinating question.
Isn't it? I mean, in some cultures, multi-generational living is the norm.
Where grandparents, parents, and children all live together.
It's a beautiful way to maintain those family bonds.
And to care for older generations. While in other cultures, individual privacy is really emphasized,
Yeah.
leading to more separate living spaces. And then there's the whole fascinating world of architecture.
Oh, right. The styles, the materials, the colors,
You can learn so much about a culture.
just by looking at their home.
Our traditional homes, yeah. It's like a reflection of their history, their environment, their values.
It's amazing how a simple dwelling can tell such a complex story.
Isn't it? But, as the global population keeps growing and we face challenges like climate change,
Yeah.
the way we design and build homes is becoming even more crucial.
It's true. We have to think about sustainability, energy efficiency, creating healthy living environments.
Exactly. And it's not just a global issue. It's something we can all think about on a personal level.
In our own homes.
Right. So as we delve back into this person's experience, let's keep these bigger ideas in mind because
Yeah.
it's all connected. Now, they mentioned something about decorating their living room, creating a gallery wall, I think.
Yes. They described it as a collection of like framed artwork, family photos, and even travel souvenirs.
So a mix of personal mementos and art pieces.
Exactly. And they talked about how it represents their life.
Their passions, their experiences.
It's like they've created this visual story on their wall.
It's so interesting how we personalize our spaces.
It is.
It's like a fundamental human instinct.
We want our homes to reflect who we are.
Where we've been, what we value. It's like creating a visual narrative of our lives.
Through the objects we choose to surround ourselves with. And I think it goes beyond just displaying objects.
What do you mean?
It's also about the emotions and memories those objects evoke.
Oh, right. Each item probably has a story behind it.
A connection to a specific person or a special moment.
And those memories, they add another layer of meaning to our homes. No, I remember they also talked about wanting to create a sense of peace in their bedroom.
Oh yeah, with the blue walls.
And the minimalist art.
It sounds so calming.
It does. And it makes me think, how much do our surroundings actually affect our ability to relax and unwind?
That's a good question. We know that colors can evoke certain feelings.
Right. And there's a whole field of study called environmental psychology.
I've heard of that.
That looks at how our environment impacts our well-being. And researchers have actually found that colors like blue and green,
Okay.
they can have a calming effect on our nervous systems. And minimalist design, by reducing visual clutter,
Hmm.
can help create a sense of peace and tranquility.
So it's not just about aesthetics.
Right.
It's about creating a space that actually supports our mental and physical well-being.
Exactly. And it's not about following any strict rules.
It's about finding what works for you.
What feels authentic to you. So remember how our source mentioned wanting a garden?
Yeah.
It made me think about how our homes, even in urban environments,
Can reflect our connection to nature.
exactly. Even small touches of nature, like houseplants or a window view,
They can make a big difference.
they really can. It's like we have this innate desire to be close to nature.
Even if we live in the middle of a city,
And bringing those elements into our homes, it can have a calming effect.
it can make us feel more grounded.
Absolutely. And it's not just about how we feel. There are actual health benefits to connecting with nature.
Really? Tell me more.
Well, studies have shown that spending time in nature, or even just having a view of nature,
Can reduce stress.
lower blood pressure, improve mood, and even boost our immune systems.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is, right? It makes you appreciate those parks and green spaces in cities even more.
They're not just pretty to look at.
They're actually vital for our well-being.
Mm.
And as we move towards more sustainable urban design,
Yeah.
I think incorporating nature is going to become even more important.
Imagine cities with rooftop gardens,
Yeah.
vertical farms, green corridors.
It's a beautiful vision, and it's not just about large-scale projects.
What can we do individually?
Well, we can all bring a bit of nature into our own homes and neighborhoods.
Plant a window box, tend a community garden.
Even just taking a few moments each day to appreciate the trees and flowers around us.
Those small actions can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because our source described their neighborhood as a true community.
Oh yeah, with neighbors greeting each other, kids playing outside.
It sounds idyllic.
It does. Makes you wonder, what are the ingredients that create that sense of community?
I don't know. Is it the physical layout of a neighborhood? The types of amenities? Or something more intangible?
It's probably a combination of factors. I know urban planners and sociologists have identified some key things.
Like what?
Walkable streets, mixed-use developments where people live, work, and shop close by.
So it's about creating spaces where people naturally interact.
Exactly. And having those public spaces where people can gather.
Parks, plazas, community centers.
Places to connect.
Yeah.
But it's also about those intangible factors.
Like a shared sense of values, a welcoming atmosphere.
Opportunities for people to get involved.
It's like community is something we have to actively cultivate.
It doesn't just happen on its own. And the benefits are huge.
We talked about the mental health benefits of social connection.
Right.
But strong communities also tend to have lower crime rates.
Better health outcomes.
And greater economic resilience. It's like these strong social ties create the safety net.
That benefits everyone, and we can all contribute to that no matter where we live.
By getting to know our neighbors, volunteering,
Even just being kind and considerate to the people around us.
those small gestures can make a real difference. It's interesting because when our source mentioned wanting to move to a bigger space,
With a garden?
it made me think about the choices we make.
And how they impact the environment.
Exactly. I mean, when we decide to move to a larger home,
It often means consuming more resources, using more energy.
generating more waste.
It's something to consider, for sure. And as we become more aware of our environmental impact,
Yeah.
it's important to think about those things when making choices about where and how we live,
It's like being mindful consumers, not just of the products we buy,
but also of the spaces we inhabit.
and their impact on the planet.
And it's not about being perfect.
It's about making informed choices,
Taking small steps that add up over time, like choosing energy-efficient appliances,
reducing water consumption, composting.
supporting sustainable building practices.
It all makes a difference
It does, and it's also about those bigger picture things, like supporting policies,
that promote sustainable development.
investing in renewable energy.
It's like a combination of individual action and collective action.
That can create real change. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I
Yeah.
just want to emphasize that it's not about being perfect,
It's about being mindful,
making conscious choices that align with our values
finding that balance between our personal needs
and the well-being of the planet.
and recognizing that home is more than just a physical structure
It's a reflection of our connection to each other,
and to the natural world. It's a reminder that the choices we make about our homes
have ripple effects,
that extend far beyond our own walls.
and that those choices have the power to shape a more sustainable, just, and compassionate world.
Beautifully said. Well, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into home.
We've explored so much.
From the psychology of our surroundings to the importance of community.
and our connection to nature.
Now, as we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to invite you to take a moment and reflect. What makes your home truly special?
What are those little details, those intangible qualities that make it feel like a sanctuary?
And beyond the walls of your home, what do you cherish about your neighborhood, your community?
Your connection to the natural world.
Hold on to those thoughts as we continue our exploration.
And delve even deeper into the heart of what home truly means to us.
You know, it's funny how this whole conversation about home started with one person's experience.
Right. Like a very specific set of questions and answers.
And it's taken us to these big, almost philosophical ideas.
About what home means on a global scale and how it connects to so many things.
Like sustainability, community, even our own personal well-being.
It really highlights how interconnected we are.
Right. Our individual
The
choices,
way we live, the spaces we create.
they all contribute to a larger story.
And it's inspiring to think that even small changes can have a ripple effect.
Absolutely. Now, remember how our source described their neighborhood as having that true sense of community?
Oh, yeah, with neighbors greeting each other.
Kids playing outside.
It sounded so welcoming.
It did. And it made me think, we can all create that feeling no matter where we live,
It's about being intentional.
making an effort to connect with the people around us,
Even if it's just a friendly hello.
or striking up a conversation with your neighbor,
Supporting local businesses.
getting involved in community events,
All those things contribute to a sense of belonging.
and they make a place feel more like home.
And, besides the feel-good factor, strong communities are just better for everyone.
How so?
Well, they tend to have lower crime rates,
That makes sense.
better health outcomes.
Really?
Yeah, and they're more economically resilient, too.
Wow. So there are tangible benefits
Absolutely, and it's something we can all be a part of.
by simply extending a hand,
Offering a kind word.
being present in our communities.
It all adds up. As we wrap up this deep dive into home,
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that home is more than just a physical space,
It's a feeling.
a state of mind.
It's about creating a space where you feel safe, loved, inspired.
And that space can be anywhere.
So true. Well, dear listeners, we've reached the end of our exploration.
It's been an incredible journey, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I feel like we've uncovered so much
About what home means.
and how it connects to so many aspects of our lives.
From the personal to the global. It's been a pleasure sharing this deep dive with you.
And with all our wonderful listeners.
Until next time, may your homes be filled with joy, comfort, and that deep sense of belonging we've been talking about.
And may you continue to explore, learn, and keep those curious minds engaged.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.